Hello and welcome you guys. So what I did today was I harvested one of my potato bins. So this one here that I harvested was okay, these are the Yukon Golds. It would have been the yellow fingerling. I'll just update you on these ones first. So I've noticed that the vines are getting very long. They're starting to get a little bit limp. I had a few flowers here and there, just really sweet purpley pink flowers last week. I noticed that the canes are starting to get a little bit purple at the bottom, and I noticed that the root systems have slowed down a little bit. So that they're basically told me that these are getting onto the way of maturity and starting to build a little bit of meat on the tubers. So then today I just noticed that this particular bin here wasn't doing so well as far as the top of the canopy goes. And I noticed that there was a lot of dieback on a lot of the main shoots. So that told me that it had reached relative maturity and the potatoes weren't gonna bulk up a whole lot. It also finished blooming and it was starting to get tiny little berries where the blooms existed, these tiny little fruits. So I've just been digging through here. I have to dig through quite a bit more, but these are just some of the potatoes. They look good, they look juicy. I'm quite thrilled. I'm gonna have mashed potatoes or something later today. They have quite a thin skin, but I've heard that that's just because of this variety. And here are just some of the shoots. I'm still prying some potatoes off. I don't know if you can see here, but there's like other potatoes, this whole clumps of potatoes. And I have yet to put those in the bucket. That's a pretty good one right there. And I'm just thrilled. Honestly, this isn't the biggest harvest that I would expect from a bucket like this, but it's decent. And I think the reason why it could have done better was I could have had slightly better drainage and I could have picked an area that had more full sun, and I should have started mounding earlier on into the season. With that said though, there's probably like 12 more potatoes in here, there's more potatoes in there, and this is just about half of them, but it's really quite nice to just reap a harvest that actually has some flesh to it, you know, in the garden. Something that's not just herbs or like a salad, something that can actually like feed you. So that's just one of my potato updates, and I'll let you guys know how the other ones go. This is a different variety here. This is Yukon Gold. So I figure that this one here should have more proliferation to it, more fruit, or sorry, more tubers rather. I have high hopes for this. This here, I will readily admit that I harvested prematurely. It was more like a test bucket. So for that reason, several of the I'll try to find a good example for you guys. Several of the mother bulbs had potential to produce a whole lot more potatoes, but because of the time when I decided to essentially rip this out, they didn't quite reach maturity, and I might replant them, but I don't think that they have enough replenishable material on the tops just to regenerate more potatoes, but we'll see where I go. So I just wanted to show you guys one thing about growing potatoes. The mother bulbs. So the mother bulbs become quite rotted and just kind of disgusting. I recommend putting these in the compost bin. I'm just gonna chuck mine into the compost bin right there. Because they're very high in nitrogen, they're very high in like potassium too, I believe, and they just really are good for the fiber component of the soil. They make it very humus rich. So recycling, reduce, reuse, recycle, right? So these are just some of my potatoes. Just wanted to show you guys. They're a fair size. I picked them a little prematurely. I would give this, what I've found in here so far, for the size of the bin and the time of the year that it took to give them, I would give this about a 7 out of 10 for what it could have been if I just waited another week. So I think the moral of the story here is really wait until the tops rot away and turn yellow and die back, no matter how eager you are, and then pick up your potatoes, because otherwise you might not get fully mature potatoes, you might not get like fully beefed up tubers, and your harvest could be a whole lot bigger. I think my harvest would have been a lot bigger if I just waited 1, 2, even 3 weeks. But you live and you learn, right? So yeah, I'll let you guys know how these taste. Have a good one, stay blessed, and thank you. Have a good one.